Hello, ladies and jelly spoons, boys and girls, children of all ages. I really was hesitant on making this video, um, mainly because I'm sick and tired of my favorite stars, my favorite people disappearing around me. I could make a video with how many stars and celebrities have passed away over the past 5 years, even just the beginning of COVID until now, and it's too many to name. It's too heartbreaking and heart wrenching. We don't even have to get into our stars being canceled and so many other things happening. We're just talking death here, and there are a lot of our stars that we had to say goodbye to. Didn't expect to do this one in 2025, but if you guys don't know, we're talking about Val Kilmer. He has over 67 movies he's been in, so chances are you've seen him once or twice. So this 24K movie, and welcome to 24K movies, TV shows, and movie reviews, is going to be a special dedication to the late, great Val Kilmer. Now, Val has been in, like I said, over 67 movies. He's been in TV shows. I just recently found out that he was voicing in video games as well as lending his voice to animated movies, because one of my favorite movies, I literally just found this out today, and it's insane that I did not know this. But The Prince of Egypt, the Disney movie, well, I don't know if it's Disney, it's maybe a Disney property. Anyway, The Prince of Egypt is one of my favorite movies, and I did not know that Val Kilmer voiced Moses, the main character, Moses. I did not know that. I recognize his voice in almost everything he does, but I didn't recognize it in the Spider-Man game either. But I did not recognize, as many times as I watched The Prince of Egypt, probably over the years, maybe more than 100 times, and I never once knew Val Kilmer was Moses. I heard everybody else's voices in there, probably with the exception of Sandra Bullock, which was Miriam, one of the Miriams, which I just found out recently too. I did not know that. But Val Kilmer being the starring role, I had no idea. But that's jumping the gun. We're gonna talk about the I got some water on standby. We're gonna talk about the first movie I was introduced to his body of work in. And for many of us, it was probably not the first movie, because he had like was it Real Geniuses, and he had another movie in '84 that I had not known of. The first time I was introduced to Val Kilmer was in Top Gun. So I'm gonna give you guys the look he had in Top Gun. Most of y'all know him through that movie as Iceman. I was introduced to him too, which is funny because some of the roles he played, he was a good guy. Some of the roles he played, he was a bad guy. In Top Gun, he was the asshole. He was the token asshole, but he was our asshole. And as it got down to the end of the movie, his character did a shift, which ended up playing a huge role in the recent and his latest film before he passed away, Top Gun Maverick, which we'll get into that when we cross that bridge, because that's a whole different story. I'd like to end with the last movie that I saw him in, but let's start with the first movie that I saw him in. So I'm going to change the matrix for you guys so that you can see the first movie that I saw him in, which was Top Gun in the 80s. Alright, so here is a still from the ending of Top Gun, when he did his character flip from the bad guy asshole to the good guy friend, and he actually ended up becoming really good friends with Maverick, as we saw in the last movie, Top Gun Maverick. But this was his first body of work that I was introduced to, and to me, he wasn't the main character. It was Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards, Goose and Maverick, which was the leading roles in this movie. But you can clearly see that Val Kilmer's role in this movie, he was destined for greatness in my eyes, always. He just, every time the camera was on him, he just had something. And like I said, this is the first time I had ever seen him in anything. Real Geniuses I saw later on, but this is the first movie I saw him in. And the scene I'm talking about in particular that made me realize he was going to be somebody major is after Tom Cruise lost his friend Anthony Edwards, which was Goose. There was a conversation exchange between Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise where he was telling him, it's not that you're dangerous, you're just reckless. And that recklessness is something I can't trust, because he played by the lines. He was just that in the lines guy, everything done by the book, everything done correctly. And Maverick was this outside wild force. But when it came to real life events in this movie, which it does, he needed that outside line of events in order to save his life. If you haven't seen Top Gun, and I don't know why you haven't by now, it's one of those iconic movies that everybody talks about and everybody needs to at least see once or twice. I've seen it thousands of times over the years. Always a good time. I would say Tom Cruise singing isn't the best thing in it, but I get it. By the way, that is, if you can hear music in the background popping in back and forth, that is Camden's own Phil B. Jackson. Shout out to you, Phil, my brother Phil. I got him holding the tracks down on lock. I was looking for a good song in the background while I was playing this. So it's Phil B. Jackson. Go check him out. He's Camden's own shining knight. Shout out, Phil. Anyway, Top Gun is probably one of the best movies that I enjoy seeing him in. Maverick was a little bit, I said I wasn't going to go there because I want to end there, but I will pivot to it just a little bit. When he showed up in Maverick, there wasn't a lot of talk of him being in it, because everybody's saying, oh, everybody's coming back to reprise their roles, and everybody knew that he had some health issues, so nobody really knew Val Kilmer was going to be in it, which made the scene much more emotional of seeing him in his current state of how his disease had progressed. It was rough, but it also made the scene that much more emotional. Tough scene to watch. If you haven't watched Top Gun Maverick, do yourself a favor. Miles Teller's in it. He's, I guess, the person they're passing the baton off to. It's one of the movies I can really stand Miles Teller in, because he played a bad guy in so many movies. I haven't forgiven him for Divergent, Detergent, Insurgent, Allegiant, all those movies, the Detergent series. I haven't forgiven him for that, but I could deal with him. Lately, I saw him in a movie with Anya Taylor-Joy called The Gorge. We have a review coming for that one too as well. The Gorge is probably the best new movie you haven't seen, because for some reason there's no talk about it. There's no talk, no press about it, and the premise is friggin' insane. When it first starts, it's slow, and I was like, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay with this movie, honestly. But the movie veers into a territory you have no idea that you're not ready for. But that's a different review. That'll probably be coming today too as well, but we're not talking about that. We're moving back on to Val Kilmer. Now, like I said, watching Val Kilmer, even going back to Top Gun, the original 80s movie, you can see genius in his screen presence. He commands that starring look. Even though he's opposite of Tom Cruise, he commands a presence. And I was like, yeah, you can see this guy's going to go somewhere. His career had ups and downs with different choices of movies he picked. For those in the comments, I'm not talking about Batman. I will not go into the Batman thing where he was Bruce Wayne. We're not doing bat nipples. We're not doing, because like I said, you can take that role from any high actor and push him into it. Like, look, I wasn't 100% on board with Christian Bale being Batman. I wasn't on board with Ben Affleck being Batman. I damn sure wasn't on board with George Clooney being Batman. Even Robert Pattinson, I'm not on board with them being Batman. And I know people are just like, well, because you're just an older guy and you like that 80s Michael Keaton Batman thing. It's not that. Even though he bodied that role, to play Beetlejuice and Batman all within the same time period is friggin' insane. Two opposite major, absolutely great roles. And when he came back to play Batman in the Flash movie, it was a stroke of genius. Look, I'm not going to say he bodied the role, but he freaking bodied the role. Heath Ledger bodied Joker. Let me tell you something. In watching Batman movies, Nicholson held a very high role for a very long time as a comic book accurate Joker to me. When Heath came along, I had a lot of trouble sussing between the both of them until I got to the point where the best comic book looking accurate Joker is definitely going to be Jack Nicholson. But if there was a real life person with the mental acuities and degradation of a human being with mental aspects, Heath Ledger is that Joker. So if you ever ask me who played the best Joker, it's a combination of the both. Best comic book accurate, best real life version. There you go. There's my answer. Don't have to worry about asking me again. But Batman is off the table because Val Kilmer as Batman, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. I'm not gonna sully somebody's name who is no longer with us. He took the role. Not every star's role is great, and I understand everybody wants to support their favorite actors and actresses, and I'm all on board with that. But I also have the ability to say, maybe you shouldn't have taken that role. You sucked in it. I'm not saying he sucked. I'm saying Clooney was a worse Batman. I've seen worse Batman reiterations, but I will say I didn't prefer Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne Batman. But then again, I didn't also like Nicole Kidman as Meridian Chase. Or Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Which I've grown to love the campiness over the years. I've grown to love Arnold's back catalog of movies. So I can stand him as the Man of Ice. But Arnold didn't have to take that role too. Neither did Tommy Lee Jones. There's been some major stars, actors and actresses, in some Batman flops, but we're not going there. I would like to go on. I wanted to interject some levity because there's going to be some sadness in this video. I mean, he's no longer with us. He just passed very recently, so I wanted to introduce a little comedy into this video so it's not so dark and depressing, because I want to celebrate his life's work more than just one-dimensionally speaking about not how the man died, but how the man lived. And he was a huge humanitarian. A lot of people didn't know that. But I want to move into the second body of work that I was introduced to him in, where he was the starring role. He shared the limelight with Warwick Davis, but as Mad Mardigan, he had that Conan role. He was Mad Mardigan in Willow, and that is the next one I want to talk about. So let me change the matrix for you, and we'll go into that as well. Alright, so this is what you were looking at, Willow. I was trying to find a bigger, better, which there are, but unfortunately none of them are JPEGs, they're web files or other things. But we're talking about Willow, 1988, directed by Ron Howard, and it's probably one of the best movies until I saw physically the Lord of the Rings movies and TV series. It's a fantasy series that I hate to say in recent years they did a reiteration going back to the Willow world with sad All right. There is a time period of wokeness where movies, television, music, video games, and media, they took a crash. We understand woke politics. We understand real life narratives. We did not need to see it visited in our fantasy, in our music, in our video games, in our movies, in our television. You just browbeat us over the head with it to the point where it literally started costing you money to do it rather than just telling your story. But in the 80s, they told stories. In the 90s, they told stories. Not every movie was great, but there are few and far between movies that are absolutely amazing. The original Willow, not the new series. Not that new series. The original Willow with Val Kilmer. I forget the girl who played Saoirse. I want to say her name, but I'm not 100% on her name. Who played Saoirse. And of course, Warwick Davis as Willow. It's probably a better Lord of the Rings adaptation without Lord of the Rings characters. And I mean, it has everything in it. It has brownies, it has goblins, dragons, fairies, witchcraft, magic. And can we give it to Rizal versus the evil queen in that movie? Just great friggin' fight.
I know the girl's name for you now. I know the actress's name that played Saoirse. It was Joanne Whaley.
Okay. Well, you heard that for the Nightmare Creature. Joanne Whaley was the girl that played Saoirse. Where was I at? Oh, great fight between Rizal and the evil queen. I'm going to give up credit for the actress. If you can look at the actress that played the evil queen in that movie, I want to give her some light.
Okay.
Yeah, when she's doing that, I just want to talk about the fight because you're talking about levels of like Gandalf versus Saruman type of fight. Magic versus magic with Willow to the side. The movie was better than any rights than it should have been. And even to this day, no matter what time frame you go into, whether it's 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2020s, you can sit down and watch that original Willow movie and have a great time. Like, it's something in there for everybody. But it really is a rich, deep world that I would like to have seen more of. And everybody for decades asked for it. And then when it was finally given to us in a new world reiteration, it was woke-defied. And this is not what nobody asked for. All you simply had to do is go back into the Willow world, have another adventure, bingo, box office success. But of course, during the time of woke politics, that's not what you gave us. You wanted to concentrate on people and their ideology and politics over a story. This is Willow. And it's sad because so many people waited to see another reiteration of Willow and visiting that universe. And that is, the sad part is that is what we got. And I binge watched the entire series. I tried to find things about it to give it credit for. I tried to find things about it to make it a better series. And I could not do it. It was dog shit. And it makes me angry that Warwick Davis was attached to this because by all means, make your paper, boo-boo, get your money. But he did not need to be in that. They should have called that shit something else. Matter of fact, it did so bad review-wise that they took it off the streaming platform. They took it off. They barely take anything off, but they took it off. Took it off. The network that created it took it off. And that was rough. That was rough. But Val Kilmer's role as Mad Mardigan, I would liken to a Conan role. He was one of the best swordsmen that ever lived. And when you're introduced to him, you don't see that. But his character quickly becomes the focal point of the story. And that's what Saoirse literally falls in love with. And it's funny because if you dissect this movie at its base premise, there's a funny scene where Mad Mardigan is the enemy of Saoirse. She's sent out to kill and find this princess baby, Laura Dannon. But there's one point in a castle where she's watching Mad Mardigan fight. and kill her men. These are like her friends, the people she grew up with, the people she commands. These are her friends, but she's so consumed with all that is man and his beautiful face and his fighting style. She's watching him kill her men, and she's just standing there, just lusty-eyed, looking at Val Kilmer. And let's go ahead and go there. The man's a fox. The man was a fox. He had sex appeal. He had that chiseled jaw, the long hair. He was the sex appeal in his movie. I can't think of any other sex appeal between Saoirse and Matt Mardigan. I mean, maybe the fairy realm had some banging fairies, but we're not really brought into that. We can't say Rizal. Definitely not happening. But I can actually see there being a love story, because at its heart, that's what Willow was, a love story. And I want to say sometimes it pulled away from Willow and Warwick Davis, but they always brought it back together again so that it created a dynamic. The first Willow was absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to watch it one time. If you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, amazing stories and amazing universes, you have to see Willow at least once. And all these movies that I'm talking about today with Val Kilmer and his life's work, these are all platinum ratings. So if you're waiting to the end of this video to see what my rating system is on these movies, these are all platinum movies. Every single last movie that I'm touching on today is a platinum rating in the Game Ninja's 24K scale of movie reviews. Every single last one. Not so many actors or actresses can pull that off. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Rest in peace, Val. Thank you for your body of work. Rest in peace, brother.
If you want to know that the Queen Morta, whatever.
Mad Morta, yeah.
Yeah, her real name was Jean Marsh.
Jean Marsh. Is she still with us, or is she passed on too?
She's still here at the age of 90.
Jean Marsh, at the age of 90. I want to give you a standing hand clap. I even move up on that one, a standing hand clap, because you made this movie what it was. They needed a villain. And in the 80s, it's very hard to play a convincing villain as a female. Your standout, breakout, absolutely amazing performance in this movie was, you did not phone in any of your acting, and I give you credit. Every time you on the screen, you bodied your role in this movie, and that's what I liked. Back in the day, everybody brought their A game, so when they're on the screen loves who's on the screen at the time. Warwick Davis, A game. For a man of smaller stature, he was a big presence in this movie. So much to the point that years and decades later, we wanted more from that universe just because of Warwick Davis. Absolutely. What we got was not the payoff we needed. But yeah, Mad Morta and her acting it's amazing. It's amazing. I would love to have seen her cast in so many roles. I hate to say it, typecast as a villain. She plays a great villain. Like, you want to hate her. You really want to hate her in this movie. But I give her all due credit and respect as well, because this movie could only exist and function greatly if there was an antagonist and a protagonist that were literally matched at a point where you're just like, I don't know how this is going to end. And she had so much power and presence and stage presence. When she was on the screen, you saw her. There was also a gentleman in a skull mask who, to this day, I think about it because it's funny as hell. He killed someone, and out of their ginormous head, he made a mask that he was just going to wear into battle. That shit is badass. You're wearing another human skull head on your head to instill fear into people. Not to mention, he was a tall, ginormous man with a sword. Mad Mardigan's ultimate fight was with this man, and he was Mad Morta's, like, #1 guy. Like, that's what I mean when I say this movie did so well. Even the brownies, the little guys, when they're on the screen, everybody brought their A game. Like, it commanded a presence on everybody who was on there. Now, it's funny because I don't know if Val Kilmer was the first choice to play Matt Mardigan, but I say you can't do a better casting. You can't do a better casting choice than Val Kilmer at that time for Matt Mardigan. He was absolutely perfect. He had the body, the physique, the acting chops, like everything he did in that movie, it just hit. And that made it better because his other stage performers, everybody in it was like a play. Everybody fed off of everybody's energy, and it made every scene just that much better, to the point where you had an absolute payoff at the end. And Willow is still one of my favorite movies even to this day. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen Willow, I don't know what you're doing. When you do type in Willow in the search, you're going to get that new shit. Stay away from that. Treat the original 1988 Willow as the body of work. Stay away from the new Willow. I guarantee you, you're not going to have a good time. And I feel bad saying that because I love Willow so much. But it is what it is. And I'm going to give it to you straight. So, I'm going to move into the next body of work that I met Val Kilmer in, which changed my opinion and saw him as a different level of caliber actor. Because remember, we saw him as the asshole. Now we saw him as the true blue superhero savior of the day, the knight in shining armor in Willow. But he kept adapting his roles, and that's what I like about real actors. You put him into a movie nowadays, it's the same person playing every role. Mark Wahlberg, I love him, but in every role he's Mark Wahlberg. The Rock, no matter what you put him in, he's The Rock in everything. Ryan Reynolds, no matter what you put him in, he's Ryan Reynolds playing that character. Like that's who they are. Like, very few people can be put into a role and change what and who they are for that role. That's acting. Batista being one of them. I've seen Batista in half a dozen different roles, and each time he feeds a different energy, a different type, a different level of acting, and very few actors nowadays can do that. I give him credit for that. Val Kilmer was one of those guys that when you saw him in this role, that role, it wasn't Val Kilmer. It was the role that you believed he was in. And I love that, and I miss that about acting in movies. Nowadays, people are just themselves in movies because somebody saw them in line at like a Walmart and was just like, you play a great starring role in my movie, come in and be in my movie. The problem with that is they're not actors. They're everyday people. And sometimes that works, especially in like a reality show or a TV show. But when you're talking about a movie that needs to be carried by a person, very few actors and actresses has stage presence enough to carry a movie on their shoulders. And that's acting. That's what acting should be. There are a lot of classically trained stage actors who act in movies where it comes forth. It comes to the surface. Val Kilmer was one of those actors. So I'm just going to move on to the next movie, move on to Matrix. Most of these movies I covered today, you should have seen. If you haven't, I can't request you enough to watch them. But now I'm going to move on to the next movie. Alright, so these will be, for going forward, they're in no particular order. So don't look them by the years they came out. These are just no in particular order. I just wanted to do a sizzle of a bunch of his movies. This one being one of my favorites. Now, if you don't recognize this scene, you may have not seen this movie because this movie went under the radar for a lot of people. But if you guessed it right in my comments, this is Thunderheart. Thunderheart was about a bunch of murders on a native reservation. And Val Kilmer was sent down to be the sensitive agent to just basically close the case and do away with it. He was chosen because he's supposed to be half native himself, and it was supposed to smooth things over with with Crowhorse here. And unfortunately, when he gets onto the reservation, his blood is activated and everything changes. And instead of him working for the government, he becomes part of the tribe again. He starts to have vision quests. It's a real cool dynamic because he's seen as the Wasichu coming onto the reservation and the enemy. And Walter Crowhorse, which is the native tribal cop that he's paired with, they first meet each other with him arresting the Native American cop. So they, from the beginning, hate each other. And he told him, you're, FBI agent guy, but down here I'm FBI, the full-blooded Indian. And Val Kilmer has this chip on his shoulder because he sees them the way the government has trained him to see these people. But as he moves along and goes forward, his blood and his memories of his family and his parents, they come back to him. And he starts to bond with the native people on the reservation, something that the government didn't intend and didn't want, because he was supposed to go there on their side to close it and make relations just a little bit seemingly better. So he ends up fighting with Walter Crowhorse against the very people who went down there to stop this. And he ends up fighting against his own boss, his own men, and his own people. And the end of the movie ends in the Badlands on the salt areas in South Dakota. And I really can't tell you enough that this movie changes how you see a lot of things. First of all, if you are into indigenous peoples, indigenous ways of life, indigenous practices, indigenous treatment, if you want a real life look at some of the treatment that still goes on even to this day, this movie is going to be hard to watch, because there are things that are happening in this movie that are happening in real life even now in 2025 on native reservations. And Val Kilmer, I don't know how they do it. He starts off very Wasichu or paleface or white in this movie, but by the end of this movie, you compare him next to every native in this movie and you see him as native. Now, Val Kilmer, his nationality, he's not, but something in this movie, making this movie, touched him and pushed him so far that it stuck with him for the rest of his career. The rest of his career was affected, and his life, the way he lived, the way he loved, the way he did everything in his life. After this movie affected him that much. And that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. You get one big aho and yatahe from me, brother. And I will say, as indigenous persons of this country, you need to see this to yourself if you have Indian blood in you. If you have NDN blood. Not Indian from India, NDN. You need to watch this. This does the peoples really well. It's not easy to watch because a lot of things are realistic, and a lot of things that did happen and is happening is personified in this movie very well. But I will say, you'll be the better person for watching it. It opens up the heart. And if a movie doesn't touch you emotionally, what's the purpose of it? You go to see a comedy because you want to laugh. You go see a drama because you need the dramatic in your life to help you evolve to another state. You go and watch a Christmas movie because it's Christmas and you want to feel in the Christmas spirit. Movies are supposed to invoke an emotion. And if you don't get that emotion invoked, then what is the purpose of the movie? That's the problem with my modern day horror movies. They don't invoke horror in you because they're no longer horror movies. They're just jump scares that try to flash things at you, and it doesn't work anymore. So everything we've seen 1,000 times before. And I just wish they would dig a little bit harder on that scale to do the horror genre a lot better. But we're talking about Val Kilmer in Thunderheart. Thunderheart is a great movie. Hard to find, but if you can, it's worth it. It's definitely one of those diamonds in the rough that you will need to sit down and digest a lot. Some scenes are hard to watch. There are graphic scenes in here, but I will say the ending, the juice was worth the squeeze, and you get a fulfillment from this movie. Something a lot of movies don't do. And this showed Val Kilmer's level of death when he was character acting. He's believable. He's believable when he's the obnoxious asshole white FBI agent. He's believable when he's going through his vision quest and is changing and transformation into what his blood is giving him. He changes. And you change with him in the movie. And I like that progression because very few actors have the ability and the range to do that. His acting range is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's a talent we're definitely going to miss. But this was Thunderheart. Great movie. Wonderful movie. Can't say enough about it. It's probably one of the best movies you probably have never seen. Please, if I can stress it enough, Val Kilmer's body of work is huge and vast. Let this be on your playlist somewhere in there. I guarantee you, you're gonna understand him a little bit better. And I think a lot of the role that he played in this movie is his true life character. It's just impossible to fake some things. I mean, you can as an actor. That's what you're doing. Robert Downey Jr. did it in Tropic Thunder. He played a black man named Lincoln Osiris. But there's a difference between character acting, method acting, and true to life acting. To bear yourself true to life, who you really are and how you really feel, pervade on an open stage in a movie is very few and far between. And there'll be some tears. No lie. There will be some tears. If you watch this movie, you're going to shed some tears. It's not the best. It's not the greatest on anybody's list, and it should be. Absolutely should be. This was Thunderheart. Alright, this next one surprised the living hell out of me. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you haven't. Without further ado, The Saint. Val Kilmer, that's right, and Elizabeth Shue. The Saint. And I know you're like, okay, I've never heard of it. A lot of people haven't. But for the people who have, this is one of his greatest films. And for those of you who didn't watch it, this is one of his greatest bodies of work. He plays like a secret agent, I would say closer to James Bond than I've seen. And I would argue saying he is amazing in this role because he wears many disguises in this role. He wears many disguises in what he's purveying. Elizabeth Shue, she's excellent. Not taking nothing away from her at all. But Val Kilmer is a commanding stage presence in this movie. Action, drama, intrigue, musical score, cinematography, actors, actresses, this entire thing envelops an amazing story, and it takes you on a ride, a whirlwind ride all across the world. And at the heart of it, you have this guy who we learn his story from when he was a child to now, and why he does what he does and why he is who he is. And it's another movie where his character transforms from what he is in the beginning to what he is at the end. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is one of my favorite movies of all times. Every time this comes on, I watch it. Every time I come across it, I watch it. This movie to me has always held my attention. It's how can I think of this? It's Jason Bourne, Mission Impossible, and 007 all wrapped up into one movie. It's funny when it needs to be funny. It's serious when it needs to be serious. It's got love story. It's got drama. It's got terrorism. It's got world domination. It's got science. They're killing me with science. But basically, it's about discovering, like, I don't know if many of y'all saw Chain Reaction with Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman about, the chemical equation for cold fusion and a new form of energy. This is along those lines, but I like the secret agent aspect a lot better. And I like seeing him play all these different characters and all these different makeups and prosthetics and everything. And I'm going to say, his accents, his characters, He's great. He's great. This is one of the reasons why I loved Val Kilmer as an actor. Is The Saint. The Saint. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to see this at least once in your life. And if you see it once, it's not going to be the last time. Guaranteed. 100% guaranteed. The Saint is another one of his hidden gems that I fell in love with the first time I saw it. It was in the 90s. I came across it. I saw something and I was like, okay, so it's got Val Kilmer in it. That's how I judged movies back in the day. As much as I get on the Nightmare Creature about liking movies about actors in it, like, oh, you only like it because so-and-so's in it. I used to be the same exact way. I liked movies just for an actor. But after I've been taken down that road so many times, I've been let down so many times, I learned not to just jump into a movie just for an actor or an actress, because I've been led astray so many times. But The Saint, from the moment I started watching it, I was like, this is not what I thought it was. And it gets better and better and better. And then it opens up into this story that you didn't see coming, and it hits you like a Mack truck. And as the main climax of the movie is hitting, you're just like, damn, like, Val Kilmer is amazing. Yeah, he really was. He still is. I'm not going to say he was. He still is. If you guys are doing tributes and you're doing tribute watch parties, put The Saint in your list of movies. You won't be let down. The Saint. Val Kilmer, Elizabeth Shue, and there's a whole host of other actors and actresses in this movie. They're going to be like, oh, I know that guy. I know that girl. Yes. Great movie. Great time. I would say drama. It's got some comedy. It's got some pain. The music score is amazing in it. It's a great time. No alcohol required. Like Jeremy Johns would say. Great time. That was The Saint. Let's move on to the next one. All right. Like I said, I'm not going to be going through all 67 of his back catalogs of movies, his appearance in TV shows, his video game voicing appearances, his animated. I'm not going into that because that video could be hours and hours long. I'm just going into a bunch of his back catalog of things that I have and I watch almost all the time. And that being said, there's nothing more to say than Doc Holliday, Tombstone. If you guys have not seen this movie, oh my God. Sam Elliott, Val Kilmer. Oh my God, dude. The late, great Bill Paxton. That hurts. Kurt Russell. Oh my God. That's... Wow. 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 Bill Paxton, too. Wow. Woo. Jesus. Wow. I'm gonna try to get through this one. Each of these great actors, and there's a host of actresses in here as well. Even my boy Billy Zane is in this too as well. There's a host of beautiful scenes, cinematography, characters, acting. Michael Biehn as one of the main antagonists in this movie, from one of the cowboys. There is Merle's in this movie. Merle. I keep calling him Merle from The Walking Dead. No matter what he's in, he's just Merle for The Walking Dead forever in me. But there are a lot of actors in this movie, and a lot of these actors, I don't want to say upstage each other, but when they're speaking, when they have their moments, each one of them is at the high forefront of their acting career, and you can see why they are who they are. Bill Paxton, ultimate awesome job. Sam Elliott, absolutely phenomenal. Kurt Russell, amazing job as Wyatt Earp. And of course, Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. This movie stuck with me so much. I literally, for the next 2 decades, kept walking around to people saying, "Wow, I'm your Huckleberry," and nobody got it. Like, if you saw the movie, you instantly got it. But if you didn't, you didn't get it. Oh, you're no Daisy. You're no Daisy at all. If for those of y'all who saw this movie, you got to be feeling it right now. Him going back and forth with Michael Biehn when they were doing the Latin back and forth, showing that these two guys were educated. Oh my God, there's just so many amazing scenes in this movie. Val Kilmer, who plays a sickened Doc Holliday at the end of his life in this movie, brings an emotional stage presence already to a movie that was great, but it's just lifted higher because I did not expect the level of Doc Holliday character in this movie. Like, you can watch Young Guns, you can watch other westerns, and you hear Doc Holliday, and he's been personified by a lot of great actors in a lot of great ways. But when I hear Doc Holliday, the number one thing that pops up in my head is Val Kilmer in Tombstone. Well, I'm your Huckleberry. You're no Daisy at all. You're no Daisy. I would say, and there's going to be spoilers. Sorry, if you're watching my videos, you know I do spoilers. But there's a scene at the end of this movie after basically Wyatt Earp's entire group is taken out. Some of them have been killed. Some of them can no longer function. It's down to just Wyatt Earp versus Michael Biehn and his band of cowboys. And Val Kilmer is so sick at this time as Doc Holliday that he can't continue. And Wyatt, at his bedside, bends down and asks him, because he trusts Doc's opinion of him so much that he asks him, can I beat Ringo? Can I beat Johnny? And he tells him, you can't. You can't. So Wyatt Earp, Kurt Russell, knows he's going off to his death. And he's willing to face it. He's willing to face it. After his brother was killed, Virgil, this movie invokes so many emotions in it. And I never really got emotional when it came to Westerns. But this movie made me love Westerns. This movie was the start of me loving Westerns. This movie. This was the catalyst that started me liking Westerns. But at the end of the movie, Wyatt Earp comes across a few cowboys and they're like, Johnny's down by the creek. He's been waiting for you. And he knows he's not fast enough or good enough still to beat Johnny because he trusted Doc's opinion. He trusts what Doc said. And as he's going down there, a sickened Doc Holliday, who is clearly showing you the personification of a tiger. And the old additive is a tiger sensing its own death is more ferocious and more deadly than a healthy tiger. And Doc Holliday, who earlier in the movie challenged Ringo to a gunfight, and Ringo did not incline because he knew about Doc Holliday. He knew about the legend of Doc Holliday. He knew he couldn't take Doc Holliday as much as Wyatt Earp knew he couldn't take Ringo. And it's funny because Wyatt Earp knew he was going to die because Ringo was going to kill him. Ringo knew he was better than Wyatt Earp and was going to kill Wyatt Earp. But Doc Holliday shows up before Wyatt Earp does. And it's an amazing scene. Absolutely amazing scene. Because from the minute Doc Holliday shows up, Ringo, Michael Biehn, wants no part of him. No part. No part of this fight because he's not prepared to die today. Which is funny, because he came there to kill. He should have been prepared to die, but he was not. And he was like, well, I have no quarrel with you, Holliday. Go on and, I was just skinning. I was funning. I was just play pimping. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to do this. And, well, Doc Holliday is just like, well, I wasn't. You called me out. I'm here. Let's do this. So Johnny Ringo, stupidly, because he doesn't like being embarrassed, is goaded into a gunfight with Doc Holliday. And he figures he's so sick and he's so close to death, there's no way Doc can take him in a fight. Which is funny. Hold on right now. I love this movie so much, y'all gonna make me dig this out. But alright, so I have my my hat on. Sorry, I got my scarf on underneath so it don't fit as right. But at the end of this movie, Johnny Ringo squares off with Doc Holliday, and probably one of the best shootout scenes I've ever seen. So Johnny Ringo, he's got his hand on his gun, ready to shoot Doc Holliday. But Doc Holliday, even on his deathbed, is so great. He turns to the side. I got to do this because I got to get in front of the camera to do this. He turns to the side with his gun facing on the opposite side. And he's got a cigarette in his hand, in his mouth. And he's smoking the hell out of that cigarette. So he's giving so much advantage to Johnny Ringo. He's giving so much advantage to him in this scene that it's amazing, because as Michael Biehn, Ringo, reaches for his gun, he flips his gun out underneath his arm and fires, hitting Biehn right dead center in the head. And before Michael Biehn even feels it, you see him flip his gun back, put it in his holster, and grab that cigarette and smoke it. And he realized, like, I don't know if he knew he was that good. Maybe he shocked himself. Maybe he was so good he shocked himself. But he looks at him and smokes. It was like, oh, you're no Daisy. You're no Daisy at all. And he's telling him to come forward and walk. And Michael Biehn is, and he falls on the ground. He falls on the ground. And Doc takes off his hat because he just killed Ringo. Like, remember, Wyatt Earp is supposed to be coming for this fight, but he just killed Ringo. And Wyatt Earp, who gave his badge to Doc Holliday, who made him a legal gunfighter and a deputy, basically, a sheriff, he puts the badge on Ringo and says, my hypocrisy can only go so far. And then Wyatt Earp come walking around the bushes, and he's like, Doc? And Doc's looking at him with his cigarette, and he sees Ringo on the ground, and he's just like... And then Val Kilmer, God rest his soul, he looks up at Wyatt and says, oh, well, I wasn't as sick as I let on. What? You were dying in your deathbed. You just took on one of the best pistoliers and gunslingers of this time. People knew him. He was a known man. He was a gunfighter by occupation. And you turned sideways, flipped your joint out and shot him and never stopped smoking for 1 second. Whew. That is a scene and a half. Ladies and gentlemen, Tombstone. And that is one scene in Tombstone. But Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer's presence in this movie, every time he's on scene, it's 100. It's 100. It's absolutely 100. And I loved every single last second of Tombstone. This movie was the catalyst for me to love other movies. So I don't want to run out of time because this video is already longer than I expected to, but it's only going to go as far as it goes, period. I got something to say about the late great Val Kilmer, and it's going to be said, and it's going to take what time it takes to finish. So I'm going to move on to my next movie, because this one right here, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Not just because of Val Kilmer, but because of the movie itself. Tombstone. Check it out. You have to. Even if you ain't a Western fan, you don't need to be to check out this movie. This movie will change your mind about Westerns. Bar none. I had to go back and start watch Westerns that I missed because of this movie. It did that much. And it's a tearjerker too. So, whew. Wow. Alright, next movie. Alright, I'm not going to talk too much about this next movie because I already did. I already covered it, but I want to go ahead and show it anyway. It's called The Prince of Egypt. It's DreamWorks. Great movie. Great fun time. One of the animated classics that I can actually stand to watch over and over and over again. And I had no idea that Val Kilmer played Moses in this movie, the main character. I had no idea that that was him. Now I'm going to have to rewatch it and close my eyes and see how well he matched that voice, because I did not know that that was him. I did not know. But shockingly, The Prince of Egypt is a great movie. Like, You can watch it with the kids. You can watch it with adults. I mean, it's a great feel good movie. Biblically, it's not accurate, but it's all right. You know what I'm saying? It's steering you in the right direction. So there's nothing wrong with steering you in the right direction. Having said that, if you want to dig deeper, I would say pull out your Bible, because they missed a lot. Then again, so did that Noah movie with Russell Crowe. That Noah movie, oh my God. This is much more accurate biblically when it comes to movies than that Noah movie. We ain't even gonna talk about that. Next Val Kilmer movie. Next movie, I can't say enough about this movie, and it's based on a true story. My sister actually went to the museum where the lions are housed to this day, based off of this story. And that movie is Ghost in the Darkness. Now, Ghost in the Darkness is a movie with Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer being the main role. He was a bridge builder in Africa, building in a land called Savo, which means place of slaughter, as the movie tells us. And during the course of him building in Africa this bridge, he encounters something that nobody's ever really seen before. 2 adult male lions with no prides, working together, killing for pleasure. Not killing for food, not killing to survive or territory, but killing for pleasure. And the movie tells you, and you can look into the story yourself, but these were based on real, true events that really happened. And my sister went and visited the lions, and she said the same thing. In the movie, they tell you, even when you lock eyes with them, to this day, you get unnerved looking into the eyes of these things, because they didn't believe, that the local people didn't believe that they were lions. They believed they were ghosts, demons, to stop people from owning the world. And the movie has a lot to offer. By any means, there's a lot of slaughter. There is a lot of blood. So the young ones may not want to watch this movie if they're Lion King fanatics. It'll change the way they look at Mufasa, Simba, and Scar for the rest of their life. So I wouldn't suggest that for the younger crowd. I will say, if you're of the right constitution, this movie is absolutely amazing from beginning to end. The music, the sound, the score, the cinematography, everything is amazing. And I know you're like, well, where does Douglas come in? Douglas is playing a hunter called Remington. He was a well-known hunter that was called in to kill things when nobody else could. And he undertakes the task of helping out Val Kilmer's character in taking down these lions, because Val Kilmer, who is a trapper and a hunter too, cannot succeed in taking them down because they're not like lions. And every trap, everything he's planned for them doesn't work. So his boss, who hates him, sends out Remington and the Maasai, a tribe, very famous tribe in Africa, to hunt these lions. And they, even with their expertise, see no point in being there. So the Maasai are the first to leave after the first hunt, because they don't see lions. They see demons. They see evil that can't be put down. And they leave Remington. And Remington, which is Douglas's character, they successfully manage to take down one of them, which only pisses off the last remaining one. And it's a really rough scene to watch, because they're celebrating that they took down the lion, and he's out there yelling around their campfire, and they're like, he's alone for the first time, so he's afraid. But there's a dream sequence, and when Val Kilmer's character wakes up, he goes over to check Remington's tent, and during the night, the lion had come into the camp and ripped him apart. And it's a very disturbing, horrible scene to watch, because now Val Kilmer is just like, it's only one of him and it's only one of me. One of us are gonna die, and I'm okay with either right now. And he goes out to hunt the lion for the last time, and is successful at the cost of everything. And it's a very unnerving, disturbing, but a great movie to watch. Eye-opening on every single last platform. This is probably the longest review video I've ever done because I'm reviewing multiple movies, and I'm dedicating this video to the life of an actor who is no longer with us. So sorry for it being longer than it is, but Val Kilmer did a lot of work, and his life's work deserves mention. It deserves more than 20 or 30 minutes because the man achieved a lot. And great actors, in my opinion, don't get celebrated enough. So we're celebrating him today, his life, his body of work, and the man who changed how I looked at certain movies forever. So Ghost in the Darkness is one of those movies that you can't watch every day because it's some rough stuff. But every single last time I found it on television, on stream, or somebody had it on DVD, I wanted to watch it. And for the people who have never seen it, I've come across maybe 30 or 40 people who have never seen it. And each time I've been around them or in their company, or if they've come over, I'm like, have you ever seen Ghost in the Darkness? No, I haven't seen it. It's a true story. Did you ever check it out? No. Put it on, they watch it, and they're just speechless by the end. It's a great, profound movie, and you'll find a lot of Val Kilmer's life's work was profound and amazing. He is a level of actor caliber that very few in this day can possess that level of depth, range, and acting ability. And I celebrate it. So Ghost in the Darkness, another platinum movie you definitely need to see. It's probably a movie you've never even heard of, but now you have, and now you know why you should watch it. Like I said, if you're doing a watch party, put Ghost in the Darkness definitely in that mix up. So I'm gonna move on. All right, I'm gonna touch on it just for a spell because it was the last movie that I saw him in before he passed. This was Top Gun Maverick, a movie we didn't think would ever happen again because there was always years and years and years and rumors that there would be a sequel, and we never thought it was going to happen, but it did happen, and I'm so glad it did happen. Like I said, nobody really knew Val Kilmer was going to be a part of this because understandably his life and his health had been through so much at that point. I get it. Some of our actors, you know, they develop diseases. They get old. There's things. It's life. It happens to all of us. As sad as it is a part of life. Just like living, death is a part of life too. Bruce Willis right now retiring from acting because of the dementia and his disease progression is also a painful thing. I'm not looking forward to none of my stars ever leaving us because I grew up on these guys. I grew up on their legacies. I grew up on their back catalog of work that to this day stands because movies today suck. But if you go back and watch some of these older movies and their bodies of work, you get to see what real actors and real acting can bring to the stage of movies. And we come from a time of great movies, great actings, great actors and actresses, great stories, great storytelling, great producers, great cinematographers, great choreographers, great musicians and scores that make these movies what they are because the music itself is also a character in the movie. So when they did Top Gun Maverick, I wasn't really interested in seeing it. Tom Cruise being an older gentleman. There was no mention at the time when I saw it of Val Kilmer, so I did not expect him to be in it. So I'm like, it's basically going to be another passing of the torch movie. But when I watched the movie and Val Kilmer's character made an appearance on the screen for the first time, I went to tears because he had been out of the limelight for a while, so you really never knew what he was going through physically until you saw him on the screen, and it was painful. It was hurting. Not his acting was painful, but to see this great man going through a struggle. I myself am going through a struggle health conditions, ailments, they affect us all. Cancer. I'm going through cancer. But there's about a million other people too. But on the same token, you never really know who people are and what they're going through. And I'm glad he shared his life with us. Chadwick Boseman, another person going through, nobody really knowing. He gave us the Avengers. He gave us T'Challa, the Black Panther. That's the level of actor and acting in some people that even when their life and their light is eclipsing, they give us the best of them. And that, to me, that's what makes a great actor or a great actress. Doing what you love, loving what you do, doing it each time for love, because you do it for us, the fans, the patron, the people who salute you. No award, no walk on the Hollywood Walk of Fame will ever replace the look of admiration of a fan in your eyes, in your face, to know that you've changed somebody's life through your acting work. And it was rough watching Maverick. Bittersweet. But I watched it, I got through it, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I really did enjoy it. And it's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of throwbacks, a lot of the original movie revisited in this movie, and that's what made it enjoyable for me. And I'm glad that I saw it. I'm glad I own it. I'm glad I watched it, and I'm glad Val Kilmer could give me that last on-screen appearance and show that he was who he was always, even up until the very end. So it's fitting that it's an overcast day and it's raining that I should do this video. They always said when it rains, somebody goes to heaven. And I'm celebrating the late, great Val Kilmer. His body of work, just a fraction. Over 67 movies, voice acting credibilities in cartoons and animated movies, video games. His life speaks for an entire life's work of dedication to the acting genre and to giving us, sharing with us just who he was. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am going to pause my brother's music, Phil, and we're going to take a moment of silence for the late great Val Kilmer. So let me stop his music real quick. Sorry, Phil. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to close out this with a thank you for joining me here in the Game Dojo for 24K movies, TV shows, and reviews, and celebrating the life of Val Kilmer. One of the best actors I've had the privilege of witnessing. Val Kilmer. Thank you guys for joining me. And I end with one of my best phrases of one of the best shows I've ever watched, Supernatural. Carry on, my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. 6-gun salute. Don't you cry. No more. Check you guys next time.